I had a running question for you, just going back to what we were talking about with what James wrote on denversports.com. And this part, I think it's very fair for James to question Sean Payton in this instance. Will they be a run-first football team? And maybe not even run-first, but will they be a run-heavy football team? Because that's something, Stoke, you and I talked about it a lot a year ago. Stop asking the quarterback to throw the football downfield. The quarterback couldn't do it when it was Russell Wilson, so couldn't do it when it was Jarrett Stidham. And they just, not that they abandoned the run, but that wasn't their identity a year ago. Will it be that this year?
It depends. Right? I mean, I've been impressed with how Bo has handled the passing game and how well he's done with it. James is concerned about the rushing attack. And, okay, I get it. So if you're having success running the football, guess what? You run it more. If you don't, well, then we got to pass the ball more. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I think Sean Payton is very flexible in his offensive approach. If he needs to throw the ball, 50 times to win a football game, that's what he's going to do. If he can run the ball 35, 40 times, that's what he's going to do. So we don't know what the identity of this football team is going to be. I thought early on after they drafted Bo that they were going to try to approach it as a run-first football team. But now seeing what I've seen, and, if they don't have success doing it, then, now all you're doing is you're hurting your quarterback. Mm-hmm. 2nd and 11. Stuff that we saw last year, 2nd and 13, 2nd and 8. Like, you got to have success to continue to trust and call run plays. If not, it's just a wasted play. You might as well be a pass-first offensive football team.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I can see why James came up with the question, and it's a very fair question. I want him to do more of that last year. This whole preseason's been talk about how good the offensive line is and will be moving into the season, but you got to see a little bit more of that. So I'm just hesitant to say yes, Sean will do it, because he's got his shiny new toy in Bo. He still wants to show everybody he made the right pick. He looks like a genius so far, but you know what I mean? He still wants to show off who Bo is and what Bo can be in his system running his plays.
Yeah, sure you do. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? But I think, Sean's been around a lot. The best way to do that sometimes is to run the football.
You're right.
All right. Now, what does that set up? Play-action passes. Mm-hmm. Shots down the football field. All of a sudden, the safeties come up into the box. Guess what? It helps your offensive line out, your pass protection. The defensive line is not pinning their ears back because they have to respect your running game. And so that helps keep your quarterback from getting hit, getting sacked, keeps you on schedule, down in distances, if you can have success doing it. But it obviously, it helps your passing game, and Sean knows that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's one of those things where Sean's like, man, I just want this guy. I'm just going to go, and it's all about him looking good. Mm-hmm. I think the best way for him to look good, though, is to run the football.
Well, what did Sean Payton say after the game last night? Let's check in with a couple things that Sean had to say. Just kind of his opening statement, talk about being encouraged about what he's seen through the preseason.
Just some overall observations. I liked our energy again. I thought even the guys that weren't necessarily playing were into the game. That's encouraging. Look, you can pick any number, and it's going to kind of give you the stat line. When you score on defense, you're going to have some success. I think we had 2 takeaways. We protected the ball. So overall, I was pleased with how we finished this preseason. We'll get a lot of film look on some guys, and then we begin that process the next 2 days relative to the roster.
He talked about being encouraged right there. I wonder, us, Broncos country, what are you more encouraged about? The fact that they scored points, they won 3 games in a row, or, and I think this is a huge part of the conversation because how bad they were at it a year ago, going back to the running game, but the other side of the coin, Stoke, you're more encouraged about the offense scoring points or the defense just not getting absolutely torched on the ground?
See, that's hard for me.
How come?
Because it's preseason. We're watching third-teamers. We were watching our starters go up against Green Bay's backups. Mm-hmm. It's like, come on. You're putting too much into it, right? 38 points, and like Sean said, well, defense had a touchdown in there, and, I just don't want to put a lot into preseason games and all of a sudden think it's just going to translate to regular season. It's night and day.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, that's where I'm at, and I am optimistic about this team because of what I saw at practices. And then it's good because a lot of your backups are responsible for what goes on in preseason games. And they did a good job. So that's a positive, but that means nothing for Seattle. You're going to play 4 quarters, starters for the first time, real football, tackle football for the first time all season long. And so I don't know how they're going to operate and what it's going to look like. But it's not going to be starters versus backups, right? And you're going to be on the road in a tough environment and all those different challenges that come with that. And it's so that's why it's hard for me to just say, yeah, I feel great about, us scoring 30-something points a game, or I feel, much better about this rush defense. I mean, they weren't playing against the Green Bay. They weren't playing against Josh Jacobs.
No, they weren't.
In Green Bay, he didn't play. James Conner didn't play for Arizona. So that's kind of why I'm kind of ready to be done with the preseason and over with, because now it's like, okay, real football.
Yeah.
Starters. Let's see what they look like.
They interviewed James Conner in the game because it was a CBS national thing. I'm like, he's like, oh, going into my 8th year. Like, that caught me up. I'm like, damn, this dude's been in the league for 8 years already.
Yeah, for
That's
a while.
That's an old running back.
It is. Coming out of Pittsburgh, being with the Steelers, get drafted by the Steelers, and doing solid there. And then he's done a really nice job in Arizona the last couple years.
Sean Payton also talked about the quarterback room. This is encouraging to me. I don't know what – I'm going to assume he's talking about our radio show because Mike Kliss told us about the finances as well, but Payton's kind of shutting down the idea that money plays a role into who they keep as far as the quarterback room.
I just heard it on the radio. We're not – no, we've got enough money to – I understand the question. We feel comfortable with those 3 quarterbacks. I think I've told you already I see the 3 of them making it.
No, you never told us that, Sean. Right?
Well, that was I'll tell you when I have to tell you.
Right.
And he was just doing it now.
Yeah, but he's like, I think I've already told you all 3 quarterbacks are making the roster. No, you never told us that.
He might have hinted at stuff.
But I didn't feel as confident about my 3 quarterback prediction a week ago when he said, I'll let y'all know, when I'll let y'all know. I'll keep y'all posted. But he acted like he had already filled us in. I don't know. Did him and Mike having phone calls, late night conversations? Or they would like? Did he tell Mike off to the side? Was he just talking to Kliss there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he definitely was listening to our show.
That's
so shout out to him.
Appreciate you, Sean.
He heard it on the radio. I don't. Mike's told us that the whole time. Kliss.
Yeah, yes.
Mike, he's told us finances won't play a part in this decision. I think you just look at it, though, and if it's close, you say, okay, well, we can save a couple $1,000,000, and we really, don't care if we keep 2 or 3. Then, like, that might be a tiebreaker, but certainly. That's why I've said 3 quarterbacks, because it's too important for the development of Bo Nix to say, oh, well, we can save $3 million against the cap if we cut Jared Stidham. Something like that, whatever it is.
Right.
Like, that's not even worth it. And if Jared's good for Bo, we keep him. If Zach's, we feel good about Zach, we keep him. And then end of story. It's a quarterback position. It's too valuable to worry about, a couple $1,000,000 affecting your roster decisions for your quarterback.
How about the waiver wire? And that'll be busy and active coming at 2:02 Mountain Time tomorrow once teams get down to that 58. Sean Payton, after the game, again, talked about what the cut-down process would look like and where they're going to be at with waiver wire claims.
Yeah, meetings in the morning. Players come in then, tape, meetings again with George. There may or may not be some early waivers. And then Tuesday by 2. So a lot of tape. And then to the second part of your question, projected cuts from each team, but our ability to look, I think paying attention to that wire is important, and we've historically had success. That's where we found Taysom Hill. Midnight, 1:30 in the morning, whatever time it was. We're looking at one player, and you start looking at something. So hopefully we've got a good area or a foundation relative to, who it is that becomes available. And there's a handful of positions we might have more of an interest in if they were to unfold that way. So that's a lot in a short period of time. I understand that. But if we're doing our homework correctly, we should be on top of that.
All right. Well, there's a couple of things in there. One, Taysom Hill stuff triggers me. That's where they found Taysom Hill. And, of course, who could forget all the Super Bowls that Taysom Hill has won? Holy cow. Talk about a find on the waiver wire there.
You're down on Taysom.
I'm real down on Taysom.
Why?
He's one of the most overrated players in the entire NFL.
No, really?
Yes, he is, dude.
Wow.
What does he do?
He does everything.
At a good level, a high level?
Yes.
He's a good quarterback, tight end, and receiver.
No, not quarterback.
Okay.
Not quarterback, certainly. But, I like the things that he brings to the table when you can use his arm because he can throw it, but you can line him up in the backfield. You can line him up, at the tight end position. You can motion him all around. He can block. He can run the ball. Like you can put him in the wildcat. I just think he provides a lot that defenses have to game plan for throughout the week. That's a headache for those guys. I think he's a good football player. I mean, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but guess what? They found him on the waiver wire for nothing. So
Sure.
that's, I mean, like,
All right.
I mean, that's like you gave up nothing for this guy, and all of a sudden he became, I think a really good player at what he does and what he's asked to do. But certainly, they tried him at quarterback, and I don't know why they did that. That wasn't a good idea. But all the other stuff, I think I would like to have a guy like that on our football team offensively.
He's a cute little gadget guy, I guess.
Oh, gosh. Down on Taysom. Let's make Nate Atkins our Taysom Hill.
Like he's going to play multiple positions?
Yeah. We're going to play him at fullback. We're going to put him in the wildcat. He's going to be our tight end. He's going to be our special teams ace. We're going to, motion him all over the place.
Sure.
That's our new Taysom Hill right there. Nate Atkins.
All right, if it works out, then maybe I'll start to come on your side. I'm very hesitant to say that will work out, just like it's never worked out for Taysom Hill.
It has worked. Like Taysom Hill's, give me his stats. I mean, like this guy is he's a good football player. I would love to have one of those on our team offensively. So, but the other thing, real quick, as you're looking up his stats for us. Okay. What do you got? Anything?
I'm trying to look for rushing and receiving because his passing stats are terrible.
Right. Yeah. I don't think he's a 1,000-yard rusher, but he's been here's where he excels. Like I said, he makes the defense game plan for him. You got to have a certain package for the Saints when you're going against them for Taysom Hill.
Okay.
The other thing that he really provides, which would be nice here, is he's a great short yardage guy. 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and goal at the 1.5. Things like that. You can just say, we put him in the backfield, and then, in the wildcat, you do so many different things with him. He's a weapon in those types of situations.
The most most rushing and receiving yards he's had combined in an NFL season came in 2022 when he ran for 575 and had 77 yards receiving.
Okay, how many touchdowns?
2 and 7, 9 total.
That's the most touchdowns he's had in a year?
Mm-hmm.
I thought he's had more touchdowns than
that's
that.
a lie.
Yeah, I thought so.
He has had...
See, you're like my wife. I told you that. I tell you, I always got to double-check his work.
Oh, he's had 9 twice. He's done 9 twice.
Double-check his work for me, please, chicken fingers.
Are you looking at the rushing?
Rushing and receiving combined. Oh, now we're going to have him do math on my math. Right. We're going to be here till Zach shows up.
I got 8 touchdowns in 2020, 7 in 22.
Okay, we'll figure it out later.
7 rushing and 2 receiving.
It doesn't matter. I'm done with Taysom Hill.
You got to do the receiving.
I'm moving on from Taysom Hill. I'm done.
I'm just saying his total yardage.
Okay.
Like
I would like to have a Taysom Hill. You wouldn't want him. Okay, perfect. But
Jerry Jeudy produced more than Taysom Hill.
Okay, no way. No, he did not. No, he did not.
Numbers-wise.
No.
Not touchdowns.
No, yeah, touchdowns. Taysom Hill is not a receiver. I'm done. I'm done with Taysom Hill.
All right, go ahead.
You're about to have me cussing over here.
Pizza bet on Taysom Hill touchdowns this year.
Okay, we'll do that off air. So I think the big point here.
Okay, go ahead.
Screw Taysom Hill. The big point is that they find him on the waiver wires. It's important. There's going to be some really good players that become available.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You just got to find the right ones. And so that's what they're going to be doing. Like Sean said, you got so many guys that are getting cut by tomorrow. And you got to try to find the right guys for your roster, but there'll be some good ones. There always are some good ones. And you just got to find that guy, and hopefully the Broncos do.
Do you have a position group in mind that you think, hey, they're going to need a little bit of help? The only thing I could really think of, Stoke, when I was going to ask you this, is depth at the offensive line. If they don't like what they have on in the 90 guys there,
and that's, by the way, that's like all 32 teams need depth on offensive line, right? Everybody's looking for quality, like starters. Like if you can find good backups, everyone's looking for that.
And then I wrote down linebacker depth, but, Jonas Griffith, Cody Barton are guys that we like. I thought Justin Strnad had a really good game in the preseason finale last night. And then how can we forget, was it Laval Bailey or whatever? He had the pick 6 and took it back to the house that's also fighting for a spot there. So maybe depth if you don't really like what you saw out of Bailey outside of that one pick 6 he had last night. But he's made a couple plays too.
Yeah, certainly. I was thinking, inside linebacker possibly. You're always you're always looking for pass rushers. Everyone is. But like interior guys, you try to find depth there, big body guys there. Certainly you could use. But other than that, I think, there's no like urgent need on this roster to say, man, we're really thin here. I like the depth that they have. I think it's much better this year than what it's been in the past. But I'm sure, like Sean said, there's a few positions if somebody becomes available that they'll make a move on the guy. I mean, how about our guy number 94, Jordan Jackson?
Jordan Jackson.
Yeah, how about him having the 2 sacks there in the first quarter? Mm-hmm. That was impressive from him. So, you look at guys like that. How much does that impact him making the football team? Right now he's 3rd on the depth chart. He's from Air Force, 6th-round pick there. In 2022, so a guy
on the practice squad last year, the whole year.
Yeah, a guy that showed up and like, wow, okay. Maybe you're thinking you could get him to the practice squad again, if you're looking for extra roster spot somewhere. But then after the 2 sacks, I think if you try to get him to the practice squad, guess what's going to happen? Someone's going to say, well, let's take a look at him for a couple weeks here, and we're going to put him on the active roster. But what a great game for him.
Yeah, he was outstanding. And, I didn't realize he was an Air Force guy. They said it on the broadcast last night. So always rooting for those guys for sure. Sean continued talking about cut down days, and he said something that, like, this morning when I heard it, my ears perked up, and I was like, I got to do a little bit of research on this. So we'll take a listen, and then I'll show you where I did a little bit of my research.
No, I don't think today, tonight, tomorrow morning change. The league's plenty smart enough to – it's never easy, this process, and it is what it is. I've been in it myself a number of times, formerly as a player. I can remember being real naive up in one team thinking they were going to start me, and I went in and I got cut, and I couldn't believe it. I think that, look, you have the 53, you have the practice squad, there's paths for decisions, and part of it is managing the roster. So George and I have met the better part of the last couple of weeks, each week relative to where we're at with certain decisions. I think we have a good handle on it.
All right, so he's talking about his playing time, and I'm like, yeah, I forgot Sean was on the Steelers and the Bears for a cup of coffee a little bit back in the day. And I thought to myself, like, I want to see Sean play quarterback. I want to find a highlight. So I just type in YouTube, Sean Payton highlights, and I found one.
You did?
Him playing in a Week 6 game for the Chicago Bears. And it's actually really cool because even John Madden is on the call.
Oh, wow.
But John takes a little shot at Sean. Let's take a listen here.
To Steve Bradley, because Mike Ditka told us yesterday, I don't think you'll see Sean Payton. He said he followed the plays up. He said last week, he said we put Payton in there, and he said, and we gave him a play, first down, a running play. He ends up in a shotgun and calls something. He said, I don't think he's ready for this.
Wow.
So John Madden
on the broadcast,
a little bit of a shot there, saying Steve Bradley was the QB1 and Ditka's the coach, and Ditka telling the broadcasters, yeah, I probably won't play because last week he screwed it up and didn't know what play we were running.
Wow. That's a good find there, Dover.
Thank you.
That was entertaining from old John Madden talking about our head coach who, like, I think he's a really, really good football coach.
I do too.
A smart guy, obviously has a great offensive mind, but all of a sudden you're in that situation, and I guess it was a run play, and Madden was saying he was in the shotgun, trying to throw the football. So that's not ideal for Sean. Maybe that's why he didn't last as quarterback.
Probably not. And I was like, he's also tiny. He's listed at 5'11", 200 pounds. I mean, you see him out there, but like you could see his fire. He got sacked one time, and one of his offensive linemen came over to get the hand and help him up, and Sean pushed him off. I'm like, that's the guy I know.
There we go.
There's the Sean Payton we all know and love.
You gotta love it.
It was just interesting to hear it from, it's John Madden talking about Sean Payton play the quarterback. But Isn't that what they say? Those that can't teach, right? And
That's
here
right.
He is teaching Bo Nix how to save the Denver Broncos.
Exactly. You don't have to be a good football player to be a good coach.
That's right.
Right? I'm just happy he's a better coach than he was quarterback. But, yeah, I think overall when you look at what he's talking about, getting down to 53, it's never easy. I mean, where are they at 90 or so right now?
Yeah, 90, 91, 93,
Yeah,
something like
and
that.
so, I mean, you do the math. How many guys is that they have to cut? You got 3 seconds. 1,
Oh,
2.
God,
Give
I'm
an
so
answer.
nervous.
Answer now. 3.
42.
Okay, 42 is what he guessed, okay? 63, 73, 83. I think it's more like 37-ish,
Okay.
I think.
I was much closer than I thought.
Yeah, but the
was
pressure was on.
nerve-wracking,
I know
dude.
the pressure's on. You got to hit it. What is it? Because you're trying to do the math, but I need an answer or you get DQ'd. So but that's not easy, man. That's a lot of guys. And then times, let's just say it's 37, right? Per team times, 32 teams. That's a lot of guys that are getting released that are hitting the waiver wire. Do you do the math, chicken fingers?
I was going to do the 37 times 32.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's what I asked. If you did the math,
1,184.
Okay, so right around that. That's a lot.
Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, 1,200 people are unemployed.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you'll have, like he said, they might have some cuts today.
Yeah.
Some teams have, but yeah, in the next 2 days, I mean, you're looking at what do you say, 1,100 plus guys. I mean, that's a lot of guys, and this is where your scouting department comes into play. Your personnel department, like they scouted these guys, and like Sean said, there's a few guys that they looked at to say they might get cut. That I'm sure that is high on their list, and they're waiting to see if those guys get cut or not.